Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to show the big differences between these two models, as many people I found are a bit confused. What differences are there apart from just simply the hands? Now, what we have here, this is the U18. I think this retails for around about 3,250 St. euros. I think this one is coming in at 3,000 euros. So realistically, for that 250 euros, are you only getting different hands? Well, definitely not. There is big differences between these two watches in many of the specs. And you actually, in this video, you'll get to find out what is the main differences apart from, because when you look at them side by side, it is just simply those hands which kind of look different, and that is it. But before I get too far into this one, I've got to say a massive thank you to the team over at First Class Watches of Kenilworth for allowing me to review these two. Super friendly staff, really a joy to deal with. If you're in the Midlands area, I'd strongly recommend popping into their shop. If you're a bit further afield, well, don't worry, I'll leave a link in the description below and at the bottom of the page now. All I ask, if you do contact them, just mention the channel, as it really would kind of help cement a bond between us. So anyway, let's talk. Case sizes of let's talk a little bit about what they are. These are both limited edition models. They're both 1,000 pieces, and they're part of this new U series range, and they're all based on slightly different watches. Bob up there has got basically the U15, which is a U50. This one here is basically a U1, and this one is in essence a U2. But they all have this nice new finish and these absolutely gorgeous dials. Sizes of these ones, we are talking, they are both a 43mm case size. The bezel is coming in at 44. The thickness of the watches, now this is where it differs. The U16, which is this one here in my right hand, this one is coming in at 14.8mm. And this one is coming in at 16.5mm. It is a bit of a beast. The lug-to-lug, though, is exactly the same on both watches at 50.5, and the bracelet size on each model is coming in at 20mm. So, the dials, the actual dials are in essence the same. We have this new dial layout from Sinn, and I absolutely love it. I know some people are like, why the bubbles? But they are the oxygen bubbles going up to the surface. After all, these are dive watches. So in essence, they are the same dial-wise, apart from obviously the U18 and U16. And these both designate different U-boats. These were taken from decommissioned U-boats from the 70s, which was the Class 206, which I think was a diesel electric, and it had a really long service. So they've only just been decommissioned. Well, I think it was like 2010, I think they were, and they were scrapped around about 2003-ish. And so the case of these watches has been engineered from that U-boat steel. You even get some in the box, and it's been hydro cut there, and it looks really quite cool. Makes for a very cool paperweight, I think. The advantages of this steel, it is more impervious to salt water. It is also non-magnetic, which is a definite plus anyway. So that's where the name come from. On this one, you've got U16, and it says Class 206. And the numbers below, not many people know this, but that is actually the nautical miles that U-boat travelled in its history. And the same here on the U18. It's got the nautical miles and the type of vessel. But obviously, the big differences, the obvious differences are the hands. This has what is nicknamed by many Sinn fans as the Lego style hands. It took me years to get used to these hands, and after 20 years, I now quite like them. So yeah, but it's just kind of Sinn's thing. It matches the hour markers absolutely perfectly. The loom on both of these watches is very good. It's really crisp, sharp, and looks superb. Obviously on this side, we are featuring the sword hands, and they have the different hour markers. That's because this watch takes its inspiration from the Sinn U2. If I show you the U2 now, I've got one to hand, as you do, and that's the U2. And that's where you can see it's got its kind of its DNA is from this model here, but that is a GMT where this one isn't, and I'm glad it isn't. It kind of looks good for it. So, but when you delve a little bit deeper, obviously they both have the date windows over at 3 o'clock, but you might notice at the bottom of the U18 over here, we've got a little blue capsule thing. Now, this is part of Submarine's tech, really, because the U1 has always been very sparse. There's not really, a lot of the tech on there. This one has got their AR tech, which basically it stops any condensation or fogging forming underneath the dial. Now, I know this doesn't happen to many people, but if you type up condensation under a dial on the internet, you'll see lots of people do sometimes get it. It's where moisture can be trapped inside, and when there's a big temperature difference, it will accumulate underneath the dial. And so to prevent that, Sinn remove all the oxygen, the air, so there's no moisture in it, put an inert gas, put better seals, and they put the crystals down there which will absorb and pull in any moisture and will give you an indication if there is actually an excessive amount in there. So I think in this size case, I think it was 3 capsules. So I think there's 2 in situ there and 1 in the side of a case as well. So it's quite a cool system. It's the only downside is when you need it serviced, it has to go back to Sinn if you want that gas re-put in there. That's the only slight downside, I would say. But otherwise, it's straightforward. As we come past this, the crystals. The crystal on this one is a flat sapphire crystal with AR coating on both sides. This one has got a domed crystal. And this is kind of twofold. Well, actually, it's mainly because, probably solely because, really, of the water resistance rating. This watch here, the U1, can withstand 1 kilometre of water pressure. And so, I doubt anyone's ever going to try that, but this watch is, bomb-proof as such. But as if 1 kilometre wasn't, it's like, is that really enough? You might find yourself, one night going out for a swim and you might try 2 kilometres, let's say. Well, don't worry, the U18's got you covered. So this one literally has, some of the best pub bragging rights there are by actually being able to withstand 2 kilometres of water pressure. And that's one of the reasons, the main reason why this is so much more chunkier than this one. Even though it's quite hard to see, it is definitely more chunky and it's got quite a bit of weight to it as well. If you've got a large wrist, this will suit you down to the ground. As we come past that, they both feature the same bezel, and it's beautifully crafted on it. So you have a sunburst kind of patterning going on there. All of these markers are actually machined in. They're not simply printed on there and will eventually, be removed over time. They are actually machined down into the bezel, probably laser etched, I would have thought. And then they're filled with the nice white paint, and you've got the blue coming round here. And it gives it a really sharp look. You do have a loom pip at the top of both watches, but in essence, that is the same. Beautiful polish work on the edges there, superb, and radial brushwork going around. This, though, on both models, it's got case hardening. So on all of the U range of watches. And what it means is it's really hard to scratch. Don't get me wrong, if you really go for it, you can scratch it. It is only, after all, a surface treatment. But normal steel is around about 200, low end of 200 Vickers in hardness. Add another 1,000 on, and that's when you'll get into the level of this. They are very scratch resistant. We once, me and one of my friends, Ryan, scraped one against a wall, and the wall fared worse than the bezel. There wasn't a scratch on it. I've got the video somewhere on my channel. So anyway, you've got a captive system in there as well. So if you were to remove a bezel, because sometimes you might find, I'm not guaranteeing this, but if you wanted an SDR version, you could possibly take it off this. I've even got one there. You can remove that, and possibly, I'm not saying it would for definite, it might just fit if you wanted a really funky, but to be fair, I don't know why anyone would want to get rid of this bezel. It's gorgeous. So you could back out the screws, lift it off, and place a different one on there. So it's a real nice system. The case, as I say, satinized finish. Some people I've heard have actually complained that it's not very Sinn like this case, and I find it a little bit of a finish, which I find it a bit weird because, after all, it's what's on the 556. And it's actually, if I was to scratch the black, don't get me wrong, this is 12 years old and it's really hard to scratch. You can't repair it. Or if you were to scratch a bead blasted model here, it will show up, and you need to send it back to Sinn or a very good bead blaster to actually refinish it. This, not a problem. If you put a scratch on this, you can easily remove it at home. So that's one of the advantages of this finish. On the back of these watches, again, this is where it changes. They're both individually numbered, but underneath the hood, on the U16 here, we feature the SW200 movement. Now, I put this one on the time grapher. I think it's pulling +6 seconds. The SW200, otherwise known as the ETA 2824, sorry, has been around for many years. It's got about 38 hours of power reserve. Good movement, no problems. Well, you've got to be careful. Don't overhand wind them. That's one thing I would say. But it's a solid movement. This, on the other hand, and the same with the U15, features the upgraded SW300, which is the old, the ETA 2892. You'll find the SW200 in watches of up to around about £2,500 pounds roughly. When you go past that and you get some Cartiers and Breitling and so forth, well, saying that was also featured, but this one here has the slimmer. I personally prefer working on it, the SW300, which is based upon the ETA 2892. And that has 56 hours of power reserve and all the good stuff which goes with that. It's just a thinner. I personally prefer the movement. They're both, you can, the accuracy of both is very good. This one here, I think, was running +2. But it is, personally, I think, a better movement. It also costs more money. And that's what's under the hood on these. So you're getting the differences so far. You've got different dial markers. You've got different hands. You've got a different domed crystal on here. You've got, this after all is thicker. You've got 2,000 meters versus 1,000. And under the hood, you are talking a better movement. All that for around about 270 or so euros more. But it's whether or not you don't mind your watch being a bit thicker. They both feature this really good, solid H-Link bracelet. I love the H-Link. It is so, it's just a nice, articulates really well. You've got the hex keys down here to adjust it, to remove the links, and those keys do, the actual wrenches do come in the box. They even feature some Loctite. Have I got some here, I think? You even get Loctite to actually put on the ends as a thread lock. And I don't know any other brand who does that. They both feature Sinn's new on-the-fly micro adjustment clasp. Looks clean and tidy. There you go. Release with 2 buttons. It features 4 levels of micro adjustment on there. So, you should be able to get a nice, comfortable fit. I'll put them both on my wrist so you got an idea how they look. Let's zoom out for this one. I say I'm wearing a 556. Bob's got the U15. My wrist size. Oh, one thing I should say. If you fancied a more summery look to this, you can always get the silicone strap, which will fit that no problem at all. And that would give it a really cool look. You can also get this in black, blue, green, red. And it gives you options if you wanted to try something a little bit different. So as I say, 7¼ inch wrist, give or around about 18.5 centimeters. And that is the U16. Absolutely solid. Doesn't stick up too high at all. I like it. Cracking looking watch. And let's put on the U18. I tell you what, you can feel the weight of this one. It is a beast. If I put this on here, and there you can see it on my wrist. So it's up to you which one you go for. Technically, for the price, you are getting more watch with this one. But do you need the 2,000 meters and so forth? Do you want the better movement? It's really up to you. But both watches are superb. Anyway, let me know in the comments which one you like, guys. But most importantly, you stay safe up there. Take care. Bye.